Okay, are we live?
We are live and we're just waiting for everybody to make their way over.
Okay,
We did tell them to click on the link, right? To come over.
hopefully. Oh
Everybody's
my gosh, this was so funny. This was
yeah, there's everyone. I think people are coming in here. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, people are coming in here. Go ahead and introduce the show. Part two.
okay. Yeah, so here's the slide. Thank you for joining everyone. And we just did the intro on CJ's stream and on her channel, and I have it linked in the description for anyone who's on replay. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the slides. And usually CJ runs the slides, so you already ran over that. And since CJ was on site, she took some great notes. And if you didn't see that stream where she read the notes, I also linked that below. Can you see these on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Okay, so this is how it first started out, because CJ was so good. So she told us like what some of the fails that happened, and so I just made them into a visual. So this was the attorney, and remember, CJ, when you were saying how she said something like, well, in the New York case or whatever, and then Judge Liman or Judge Boulware was like, well, I've talked to the judge in the in the New York case. I've been in contact with him, and totally shut her down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he was like, in the New York case, and then he was like, well, like kind of like letting her know, well, I've talked to Judge Liman already about this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just thought that was cute. Okay, so that was the first fail. And then how she tried to say that Perez gave up jurisdiction. I mean, first of all, she was arguing New York jurisdiction at this hearing. And then she said, well, it's not necessarily Nevada jurisdiction because he put an LA address in the e-filing, which is another fail. And I blocked it out, but this is what she was referring to, docket number 5. And then Perez explained that the whole reason he put this, and it was just like it looked like it was maybe a PO box or something. It was just a different address just for this document because he already.
It looked like Sorry, I had the YouTube open. I had to click it off. Sorry about that.
Oh, well, just because he had, yeah, he has a protective order because he doesn't want to be doxxed, because Lively's team has a history of doxing non-parties. And then he cites like what happened to Sorowitz, and he said this after the hearing when the media was kind of asking him like about that part. And because a lot of people don't even understand, and he's been a champion for pointing that out. So that I just thought that was another interesting fail. It's like, okay, just because he has it. And then if she wants to do that, I mean, Lively has an LA address for her Texas filing. So whatever.
Exactly. And I love that you explained it to me, because when she first said it and I wrote it down, I was like, oh shit, is this going to be a problem? And so then, when we talked about it or whatever, and then you had sent it over the night that I was reading my notes and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Because even when I was writing it down, I was like, what is an electronic regular address? Like, to me, it didn't make no sense. So
Yeah.
I was appreciative of the and even he said, he was like, I remember the judge said, like, I don't even understand why the lawsuit itself is in New York. This is a digital international incident like that, excuse me, happened everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. This judge sounds great. I feel like it would be an honor to be in that courtroom.
Yeah,
Okay, and then she cites Judge Joel Richlin. Big fail, especially for me. And this was before I found out, like, what I was on stream with Leon yesterday, but this was before I found out that he's also overseeing the subpoena for the private investigation firm of Freeman. But this guy's a magistrate judge, has only been at it for like, I don't know, under 2 years. And he made a terrible ruling in the motion to quash when Blake Lively subpoenaed Brian Friedman's law firm. And so he was so overwhelmed by it. What it basically sounded like to me was like, there's a lot going on in that case. So yeah, we'll just send it back to New York like Lively wanted. And so the fact that she's citing this judge, it seemed desperate. Like, this isn't like case law or something like of why it should be, but it doesn't matter.
She quoted him verbatim, like it was like like she was like, clocking something when she was saying it. She was like, and this is, he said this. And I honestly, when I was in the courtroom, I thought it was a bad move, because like, if you're up against one judge, and I get that it's case law too, that, like if you you're quoting other judges' opinions. So in a way, like you're constantly doing that. But just the way that she said it, it made it seem like, well, this is what he said. And so like maybe you should roll the same kind of like the tone that she said it in felt like it was like that. And maybe again, like I said, this is all allegedly and in our opinion. That was my observation. Maybe other people saw it differently. But that's how I observed it. Like she was trying to convince him that because another judge had already booted it over there that he should too. And he was not having it like at all. Like
And I respect your yeah, like how you what your take on it was. Like I feel like I would trust what you have to say about that. And like it seemed like she almost seemed like entitled, like this lawyer. Like she, you know, she flew out from DC and was just like, I guess this stuff works like wherever she goes, but it doesn't sound like it was working on this judge. And like that was the other thing. A lot of these subpoena cases have been overseen by magistrate judges that are intimidated by like this lawyer. But Judge Boulware is not a magistrate judge, and he's been there since 2013 or 14, and seems like he was not fazed whatsoever by her.
Ricardo says, the more I hear, the more I feel the judge wanted to give to Perez what he wanted. And yeah, that's the way that I felt. Like the first half before he conferred with the court clerk, it seemed like he was like very pro Perez. And then whatever he conferred with the clerk when he came back, it was like, well, you know what? We're just going to wait. Because I thought like the whole trial, I mean, the whole hearing was going to happen, you know, that they were going to start with the transfer argument, then move into the other arguments. But then it was like right then where he said, that they were just going to wait on the decision. And it kind of took a turn where I was like, well, is he now pro Merrill? Or like, I was like, not really knowing where it was going to go. But then by the end, I'm like, you know, we'll get into how we felt like he was trying to help him, or I felt like he was trying to help him. But yeah, so thank you, Ricardo, for pointing that out. I think that's exactly how I observed it.
Yeah, well, and that's just a side note from that. Sorry, that was my grandfather. He has like emergency override when he calls me because he's older. So I was like, Jesus, that scared me. So yeah, this same magistrate judge, by the way, is overseeing the subpoena for this because she Lively filed a motion to compel of Brian, the private investigation agency that Brian Freeman uses in LA, and somehow they got the same magistrate judge. And that was just a little side note that seems interesting. Okay, so here's where like this took a lot of figuring out, but this is what we think is happening. So Lively is saying that the state shield law should yield to the federal law. So the judge told the parties to write a brief, and we're going to go into that. Oh my God. Okay. I want to make sure it's not emergency. Can you read this part real quick, CJ? I'll be right back.
No problem. Okay. So these were the brief instructions. I don't think I can start the slide from my end. Oh wait, maybe I can. Can I? No, I can't. Okay. But I can read this. So the brief instructions were that the movement should come with a list of materials. So this is what the what he said where
I'm back.
Perez, okay, where Perez made the video about now he feels unwell because of it, because all of a sudden he opens up his email at 2 p.m. and he sees this brief and it says movement should come with a list of materials covered by the subpoena that can be presented ex parte. The list should describe the type, format, and volume of this info. And ex parte, what it means that it's not in the presence of the other lawyers or, you know, in the courtroom. It's just to the judge. It's just presented to the judge. And I believe it said in camera review. So there's, you know, it's
so it just means like with the judge in his chambers.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, this is a good question. Did you pick up if the judge smelled the same thing that I mentioned about maybe like the token associate?
No, I honestly didn't. Like she was kind of just in the middle, sitting between the little old man with the glasses, Parker, what's his name?
Oh yeah.
Between and to be honest, I really didn't observe them because I was writing the notes like down. So I didn't get to observe them much. The only time that I did observe her was right after he said that, like, let's get another date for the hearing. And they were conferring with the clerks and stuff. her and Meryl were like laughing and giggling like they had won or something. Like, I don't know, I wrote down like celebratory laughing or whatever.
Like before it was even over.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of people thought it was over because remember I told you everybody left. So they thought they were just getting a new date for a hearing and it was already done. And it probably would have had Perez not being like, "Excuse me, sir, I need clarification." But that's the only time I observed her. But I don't think that he saw like, you know, I don't think he realized it or anything like that. No.
So the Earthkeeper asks, is Perez getting any assistance with submitting this brief to the court? Well, he already did it. So as soon as he got this email with the order to provide this supplemental brief, he said that he just has OCD and he felt like he had to respond right away. And he got this yesterday. And so he wanted to respond before the judge left for the weekend. But I think that weren't the federal courts closed yesterday? So maybe he got it the day before. Whatever. It sounds like he turned it in right away. But then as he was reading it on stream, he said that he realized like other things he wanted to add. So he was going to like write a motion for leave to add a additional context. And so sounds like he's doing it himself, but I don't know. We'll see.
He's getting assistance from his dad to chat.
Yeah, he did. And I think he did a pretty good job. It was hard to decode, but I mean, because even I thought one thing, and then as I was like talking with CJ and putting everything together, I realized like he was asking for another thing. So what part did you stop reading on this slide?
Right there where it says the volume of this info. So where it says parties, further order.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Parties further were ordered that the parties provided supplemental briefing regarding whether and how privileges under the federal common law, so this is not the Nevada Shield law, including but not limited to the qualified reporter privilege, apply to this information. And this needed to be done by Tuesday, the day of the hearing, before 9 p.m. or by 9 p.m. or 9 a.m.
Yeah. And so that's why, I mean, I think Perez went first, he just wanted to get it done. He was stressed and I get it. And also I don't think it really would have mattered because I do think Lively's team wouldn't turn hers in. I don't think they're going to turn it in until like 8:30 or something. So it's not like he would have been able to like see what they said first and respond to that. But I think that and after this came out, it was so annoying. I was thinking more about the Nevada Shield law. And then with this, I was like, okay, wait, he's asking about federal common law for this information. So let me go to the next slide. So that like totally ruined my whole thing about the Nevada. This was like all the notes because we had to combine everything. So then this is really messy and I'm sorry because
what we figured out today. Can you move that comment though so that we can see the slide?
Oh yeah, sorry, hold on. She just said that he got it in early. Oh yeah, here, hide. Okay. Yeah, so this was like I was literally talking with CJ and I was typing in her things and then what he had said. And so yeah, CJ's notes, you want to read yours? Yours on the left?
Yeah, so originally DFJ thought that what the judge put into that brief where you need to bring the type, the format, and the volume, she thought that's what I had read in the notes as well when I read my notes that night. But I was like, no. He said something different. And this is why I was saying that I think he was trying to help Perez because he basically said this, like, I believe it was 3 times because the first time he said it, he said, I just want to let you know that whether it's going to be my court or Judge Liman's court, you are going to need to come prepared to answer this question. And the question was how to be prepared to produce in a fairly quick time frame. How quick can you produce a list of the materials and the expenses and costs? Given the schedule, be prepared to answer the burden of the cost of producing documents. So he kept telling him, he was like, no matter who does it, my court or his court, you need to be able to present the burden of the cost of producing these documents and whether you're going to use an extraction company, or he said something about the extraction company. And I know DFJ was like, Blake Lively's people will probably pay for it or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know if he was telling Perez that because he wants Perez to argue that it would be a burden, like as far as a financial expense to him, and like, you know, have a number of like what it would cost him to do it. I'm not sure, because he was basically saying like, you need to be prepared to produce how much time, what's the burden of time. He kept saying the burden, the burden, the burden, the burden. What's the burden of time that it's going to take you to put it all together? And then it was funny because Perez was like, I'm prepared to answer that today. And, you know, he started citing the Nevada. He's like, I'm prepared to answer that today, but, you know, given that Nevada's rule 45, blah, 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 I don't think that, you know, I'm going to be asked to da, da, da. And, you know, he gave his legal argument, which I felt like him repeating the legal argument. I know that, you know, it came off as like, you know, he was just, you know, repeating legal stuff and not like what was actually asked or whatever. But to me, later on, I was like, what if that's what like got this judge to be like, oh, wow, you know, he's making a good argument or whatever, because that was when he said, like, I respect and admire your legal argument, but I'm just letting you know that you need to be prepared when you do come back to give an answer on how quickly you can produce it and the expenses and the cost of it. So that's why I was like, was he trying to help him?
I think he was trying to help him, and that's what everyone else is like saying also. Like Ricardo says, that sounds like he was leading Perez in a good way, and I think so. You know, Perez is pro se, and we've seen other cases like Lori Daybell and, you know, Daryl Brooks, where like, I mean, the judge literally has to tells them what to do because they don't know. Yeah, who else said that? Francesca said it too. It does seem like he was trying to hint to him to show what the burden is. I agree, and like, I think if there was a lawyer, the judge probably wouldn't have to say this stuff, you know, like they would have already known. So I think he was literally telling Perez what to do. And so to me, so I took CJ's notes from the hearing, because like we don't know that, we weren't in there. So you could only know like if you were in there. And then, oh, sorry, I got distracted by the chat. And then we have like, now we have the order with those notes of what to provide. And I was like, okay, I have to make a chart. Like, I don't even know what else to do. So I went back looked at what the subpoena was asking. And then I was like, I just need to make an Excel chart. So yeah. Like, this is what I feel like. And I don't know if this is not legal advice or anything like that. Is there a way I can make it bigger, do you think? Or do I move us?
Yeah, you have to, yeah, right there. That's big. And then maybe just remove us. Just remove us. Just go to the last box that just has like the clear like box. I think it's the very last one on there.
Mine doesn't have that. Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay. So this is just me. This is what I would do. Is like, so
also like a visual for us to show you guys like what the subpoena is requesting, and you know, like kind of like a visual for us as well too.
Yeah, and then so like on the left side, I have all the production requests from the subpoena. Well, this is just the first 3. There's 7. And by the way, I mean, that subpoena, I think it was like 31 pages or something. And like, it's like the first like 15 or like 16, 17, I don't know. A bunch of the first pages are all just like, it's like definition and this and that, and it's like a lot. So when you finally get to like the request for production, I mean, that part's only like 2 pages. But it is a lot. So I would just, but this is like what they're actually asking. And so I would go through each one. And so like that first request, you know, where this was from I'm not on the right screen with the pointer. Hold on. Okay, here. So like this was from the order, right? Where he said the type, the format, and the volume of this info. And I would just do it like this, because he said to submit a list. You don't actually have to submit like what, you know, the discovery is that they're asking for the subpoena, but just he wants to know for each thing they're asking, the type, the format, and the volume. And then when we get to like, this is what was asked in the courtroom, thank you to CJ. He said, how quick can you produce a list of the materials, probably for each one, because each one might have a list, if they're even relevant, the expenses and cost to produce this. And so I would do that. And then this is like, oh, this is the big one. And I feel so bad for him. And I think he did a pretty good job in his brief that he read. But like, just in my view, I would just want to comb through their opposition to the his motion to quash. Well, it's a cross motion to compel, whatever. I would just comb through that, like, you know, with a fine tooth comb. I would maybe even take like every sentence apart and every citation and put like this right here, whether and how privileges under the federal common law, including but not limited to the qualified reporter privilege, apply to this information. That's just me. But
my opinion is also that he asked about the federal common law because I think that he knows that the Nevada Shield law, you know, it can't be overcome, and because they argued that federal, you know, goes over the state law or whatever, I think that's why he's like focus more on that. Because I remember, you know, Perez during the hearing on Thursday kept saying the Nevada Shield law, the Nevada Shield law. So maybe he's trying to help him, you know, narrow it down to the federal argument because he knows that Merrill might be arguing that.
yeah, and I think someone's like, catch you on the flip side, about to cut hair. Okay, we'll see ya. Bye, Aunt Lola.
She's just listening. I think she said she's going to cut the hair and just listen.
It seemed like Ari Jacobs wanted to try to find a lawyer for Perez pro bono. I wonder if she found someone to help him, or at least give him a bit of advice on specifics requested by the judge. Well, you know,
because it was the holiday weekend too, I don't know how, you know, likely that could have come to fruition that quickly. I mean, possibly it could have, but with the holiday weekend and getting a new lawyer on and catching him up and all that, I don't know how that would have worked. So, you know, I have no idea if he did contact or what happened with that, but it seemed like the last video he did, it seemed like he was alluding to, you know, him doing it on his own, pro se.
Yeah, and it just sounded like he just kind of had a lot of anxiety kick in when he saw the email, and he's like, I just want to get this in right away, and just like focused into the response. And I thought it was pretty good. His arguments were pretty good. And so my thing, and I was just going to say this real quick, Court of Fate said, yes, the judge was helping him a lot. I think the judge knew all along how Liman was going to rule, but had the hearing anyways so he could help prepare Perez for Tuesday. And, you know, and I think so. And going back, though, like, this is just like, for me, how I would just organize it. Because one of the things he asked for was the list, you know, and about, like, how quick can you produce this? And, like, it's just so detailed. Like, some of these things, like, all documents and communications reflecting or concerning any statements or drafts provided to you. Well, some of this is like, okay, provided to you by the Wayfarer defendants or their counsel. Okay, well, you know, it's nothing. So, I mean, that's pretty easy. We could probably do this, like, for him. But I would just fill in the box just so you know you covered everything. Sorry, did I go to the wrong screen? Okay, we're still there.
Yeah, but obviously we're not giving him legal advice or telling him what to do or how to do it. This is just us, you know, getting that Roman Empire off our brains, because we were like trying to connect, like, what exactly are they asking for? And just in our heads thinking like, well, what we were trying to answer the questions for ourselves, like, well, how quick could those be produced? And I remember me and DFJ were saying like, they might, like, how do you produce nothing? Like this one where it says talking points, scripts, theories, or whatever. Well, how much time would it take you to produce that list of materials? Where if those don't exist, then it would be 0 hours, right? Like,
yeah,
we were assuming.
And then where's the one with the sources? Like, anything with the Wayfarer parties is obviously nothing. And yeah, I mean, nothing regarding your digital. So this is the big one. I think for number 3 is going to be a big one. Oh, sorry, I don't know why it's showing that. Where it says all documents and communications regarding your digital online content creator or influencer services or strategy concerning the consolidated action, Miss Lively, Mr. Why are we talking about Mr. Reynolds still? Like, he's not a party in this case. The Wayfarer defendants, the digital campaign, the marketing plan. I mean,
and the thing is like, in which the Wayfarer parties included information you relied on. Well, Exhibit A, all content creators relied on Exhibit A. So would that be something that Freeman contributed that we relied on? Like, that's the thing, that it's really weird and sketchy, because a lot of the stuff that Perez reported on, and I started watching his videos early on, I didn't see that he got a scoop like with, you know, Andy, where he got a direct statement from Freeman or anything like that.
I don't know where this was the slide. Sorry, these were so out of order now because we totally changed strategy. But yeah, was this what you were talking about? The where, like, earlier on he was on Lively's side. And this is Perez posted, look how funny this is. Perez posted this on his website, so make sure you give him some traffic. But like where Melissa Nathan said, and these are from like the discovery, these are in exhibits, and she's like, no one pays attention to this person past 2005. He's not relevant. He does not create a news headline. He does not get pickup. He's just now a troll. And this was from August of last year. So I'm just saying, yeah. And then we got this and this was recent discovery that is now an exhibit on the docket. And it's saying that like they were trying to figure out how to get in touch with Perez. And this was in January of this year. So like, obviously he wasn't part of like whatever smear campaign they think happened. And I mean, now my slides, because I had to totally change strategy. Let me go back to the, because like once we figured out that this was like about the federal, and then it also cuts off like half of their opposition, like, or their cross motion to compel, because like the first half was all about like jurisdiction. So you get to the second half and it's just like, in the alternative, the court should deny the motion, the subpoena doesn't. And then, I would go through each one of these and just make sure it's answered.
Yeah, like does not impose any undue burden on Mr. Hilton. And this is what he was trying to say about the burden on the transfer. I also think that some of the same answers that would have burdened him on the transfer, one of the undue burdens on him that he already did say, where the judge was like, we're not arguing that right now. But one of the things he pointed out was, there's a burden on my family and my job. Like I'm taking time away from my job and I'm taking time away from my kids. So he did make that argument about it being a burden in that way. And then it says the subpoena does not seek the disclosure of privileged materials. Well, he argues that, most of this materials are privileged because he's a journalist. And this is where they say he's not acting as a journalist when he generated the material sought. And the way they use, like, this is what I'm talking about, how it's the power of the pen. That's what lawyers do. It's all about words and like the definition, like what it incites in you and all this stuff. Because look, they say he's not a professional journalist. Well, what is what is the definition of a professional journalist? What is the definition of professional? What is the definition of journalist? I mean, they're basically trying to make him seem like a, celebrity blogger or whatever. Mm-hmm. And based on, I don't know, we got into that federal law stuff or whatever.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Is that exactly? Because then they're saying, so the subpoena does not seek material covered by the Nevada Shield Law. And so I think this is like where the judge was just really trying to guide him. Like, you need to argue about the federal law, because if this is deferred to federal law, because they're saying, because Nevada Shield Law is like absolute, like it completely covers him. It covers everything. But like with federal law, it's a lot more narrow. And so that's why it seems like then Lively's team is trying to now argue all of a sudden that he's not a journalist. And you'll see, because then CJ and I picked up like, oh, did we already pass that slide about the profession? Or no, we'll get to it. Mm-hmm. Where she called them content providers instead of content creators all of a sudden, because they're trying to say he's an influencer now. Because he says he's like the number one influencer or whatever, but like he's also, because he's the number one, blogger, like he reports on celebrity news. He's a reporter. So, because then they're saying like, okay, well, even if he is like whatever journalist, like the Nevada Shield Law does not give way, or the Nevada Shield Law should give way to federal. So this is why the judge was like so big on that order that he put out.
And I think it's also because of the fact that Perez kept, name dropping the Nevada Shield Law. So he might have been like, okay, both of you guys need to be prepared to argue this, because this is what I want to hear about. How can it overcome the federal law if the Nevada Shield Law gives way to federal? So he's already thinking ahead of what arguments he wants to hear based on what he's already thinking, and maybe, things that came up after the Tuesday hearing.
Yeah, and I can't believe, did I miss that other slide where she said, oh, maybe I deleted it by accident. Oh, this is it. Not a journalist, he's a content provider.
And so, like, to me, that was what stood out on my notes, and that was one of the things that that DFJ was like, on your notes, there's actually one thing that's like was really important that you said, that was that he kept referring to it. because whenever she said content provider, I kept thinking of like cable companies, like a provide when I think provider, like an insurance company for some reason. And I'm like, why is she saying content provider and not content creator? And
Yeah.
again, the words, the spells of the words that she's trying to create a different picture.
Yeah, and actually, I guess we could just fast forward to that part and we can go back to the Candace
Mhm.
part. But yeah, I thought that was a big thing because at first I was like, oh, she's so dumb. Why is she saying content provider instead of content creator? And then I realized like looking back in the sorry, I'll make this bigger, you guys. Okay. Well, not that one. Shoot. Sorry. Oops, we need to go back. Okay. Sorry, because we had to totally change all of our slides after we realized, oh, here it is. Okay. So in their, yeah, response to the motion to quash. So see how they say like as an influencer, like they're trying to say they're not even trying to say he's a content creator anymore. Not now all of a sudden like he's an influencer. Mr. Hilton acts more akin to an advertiser whose role is to promote and not report, and who government agencies and courts have required to disclose their lack of independence. And then it says then they say that FTC guides concerning the use of endorsements and testimonials as advertising. And I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I've watched his content, like especially on this case. I haven't seen him act like an advertiser. Have you?
Mm-mm.
No, I'm just like, so this is what I'm saying. Like they're really like, I mean, and
That
it
part where
seems
she's like to promote, not report, and who government have required to disclose their lack of independence. To promote, what is he promoting? He's not promoting anything. He is literally reporting. I mean, the same thing that everyone else was reporting. Because when I went back, and I didn't go like that far back, but I started to watch some of his videos. Like, well, what was he saying? Like, and it was the same stuff that was. And sometimes he would be first to market as far as like reporting it before like the MSM. Because I remember there was a couple times where I would be on the Google, SEO, on my Google SEO shit, where I would like right away want to know what was happening. So under Blake Lively. And the most recent news sometimes would be a little video from Perez Hilton, basically reporting on whatever news, he found. So I never saw it as like promoting anything. What was he promoting? Are they saying he's promoting Baldoni? Like, I feel like he's just reading the news. And if they do say that he was promoting Baldoni, he can counter with the fact that in the beginning he believed Lively. Because I even remember that I was like, wait, doesn't Freeman represent Perez? Like, why would he be like Team Lively? Because he would sometimes go against what Baldoni was in the very, very beginning. So I don't know if he could argue that.
I think I just messed up our slides.
That's okay. We can catch
What
him up.
happened? Oh,
If you need to go through the slides without looking, then you could just put us up there as like the two of us talking, and then you can find the
so I'll
slide.
stop sharing real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see us? Let me put us. Sorry, you guys.
There you go.
She's taking my training wheels off because I messed this up. I'm just going to reload it real quick because it was doing that thing again. But now it's good. It looks like it's good. So I'm going to put it on bigger. But yeah, it just seems like, and it's crazy. Okay, so let's see if this is working now. No, it's doing it again. Why is it doing that?
Where it's like trying to play this video?
Yeah, I just have to share it in present mode.
A complete name change to fix their narrative. Yeah, like now they're like he's an advertiser. It's like,
I know. What is that about? Okay, screen share.
oh, thank you, Angel's Voice. She said she made it. She's listening while closing up the store. We appreciate you being here, and everyone in the chat. I know it was kind of hectic to go to one and the other. I hope I did it right. I just remember that Colonel did that for me. Shout out to Colonel Kurtz. She just came back. She made a comeback video the other night that she's going to be coming back covering Baldoni and stuff. But I remember when, she kind of took me in and, showed me like, this is StreamYard, and, we'll start on my channel and then go to your channel so everyone follows. And so I was trying to do that for DFJ. So hopefully I did it correctly. And we didn't lose anybody on the way over here.
Yeah, and this is a good point right here. If Perez had a lawyer, I know. Thank you, CJ, for that. Sorry, yeah, that was like I couldn't even believe she like offered that to me. I was like, that's like so generous of you.
You did so much work on it. When I saw the slides and she sent them over to me, I was like, I can in no way, put this on my chat. Like, this belongs on your channel. We're going to start on my channel and then go over there, because she put so much work and she was really listening. She watched my video so many times and took notes. And I thought that was that was so cute, because I was like, you literally like took the time to be like, okay, what were the Easter eggs in the notes, and analyzing the notes, because those were her eyes and ears to what happened in the courtroom. And so, you know, she took that and made these slides, and I was like, okay, yeah, definitely going to support her. You know, she was supporting my
Yeah.
channel.
No, but I'm serious. Like I trust your instincts so much. And so what you like were picking up in there, and like just even that little thing when you said, she kept saying content provider, I was like, at first I was like, okay, she's just like a moron or something. But then I was like, no, that was deliberate. And
It made you look into what else she was saying in the actual subpoena.
yeah. So they're like, which is just so crazy to me. I was like, and then because then we started looking at the headlines too. Well, okay, wait. So we'll just show you like how it's changed a little bit, because this was the I'm not gonna say this right.
Interrogatories.
Interrogatory. Remember when Tag like unsealed theirs after like Lively kind of bluffed about it? And I think this was one of the ones where, but look what it says. So this part is from Lively, and then, you know, then the Tag had to fill it in. It said responding party. Okay, for oh no, sorry, Tag filled this in, but this was in response to how do you say it? Interrogatory.
Yes.
Okay, responding party further objects this interrogatory on the grounds that it is vague as to reporters, news or media outlets, and communicated. So it says like reporters, news, media outlets, and like, look, this is where Perez's name is. And remember, this was about anyone who's like reached out, right? And so that, look, Perez Hilton's on there, and she's calling, this is like Tag calling him a reporter or news media outlet. But then, yeah, so remember, this was a note from the hearing for the subpoena on Freeman's law firm. And where did they say it in here? Oh yeah, so then they said, and so like I guess in that hearing they were calling Lively's team also subpoenaed right-wing influencers like Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, as well as gossip blogger Perez Hilton. So there was like this change where they're really trying to call them influencers, like, right? And so here's some more examples, because I was like, are you trying to argue content provider equals influencer? Is that why Lively's lawyer didn't say content creator, despite calling them that in filings in the media? And like, because remember, there like different headlines, it was like digital influencers were subpoenaed, and it was just seemed like kind of, I don't know, it just seemed
Content
interesting.
creators intimidate content creators. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
it turns out she did. I know that your note said she didn't subpoena Megyn Kelly, but it turns out that she did. And then that was also like word salad.
yeah, total. Wait, that was totally
Like play
crazy.
on
And then
words. Yeah.
yeah, it said, but in this art, and this was like, this article was from what, like yesterday? No, Thursday, when he was speaking. It says Lively has subpoenaed dozens of reporters, media personalities, and content creators. So like they're still calling them, it's like content creators again. You know, and it not like it makes a difference, but it's just like interesting what like her team is trying to argue here. We all called them content creator subpoenas. And I have to go back to, now I want to go back to the Candace Owens one. Sorry, you guys, this got like totally, oh, and then here, this was a good exhibit from Perez. This made CJ cry.
Hey, can you take that comment off so we can see the full letter?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, how do I have to go back to the comment?
No, just go to hide comments. Like you can hover over where the comments are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Remember this made you cry?
Yeah, because I was like, the wholesomeness that comes out of it, because she was like, I'm gonna, you know, this is Melinda Shekels. And the reason why I got so choked up as I was reading it was she's like, it was the part where she's like, I see Perez as a fellow journalist and peer. It was like she was giving him his flowers and like coming out in support of him. And I'm like, there's something wholesome that comes out of all this ugliness. And it's like the power of community, the power of camaraderie. And to me, that's the stuff that I like to highlight. And that's why, you know, even when he came out of court, I always try to highlight.
Oh, you just cut out. CJ. Can you guys hear me?
Was one of the things that, you know, it
Oh,
choked me up when she said, I see Perez as a fellow journalist and peer. because she, she's sticking her neck out for him. And, right here, it says it full and clear, journalistic coverage. He wrote for the Town magazine.
Yeah,
So
you just cut out for a second, CJ.
Oh, sorry.
A little bit. Just letting you know, just for the
Okay.
mic thing. Yeah, but that was so. I thought this was great. So this was an exhibit he has, and this is like a local editor saying like she thinks that she considers Perez as a fellow journalist and peer, and so. I mean, just to say that he's not at this point is, I think, kind of ridiculous. But then, sorry, we're going backwards. Because we thought that this was really important as well with Candace Owens, because remember her update where she said that Lively asked her not to file a motion to quash until they got a response on a ruling to get the info from Wayfarer and Freeman. And I thought that was interesting because we just got like that ruling that was a huge ruling, like right before, I think it was like the day before Perez's hearing where, it was the night before, where the judge basically gave Lively everything she's asked for all the way up until February of this year. So all communications, like anything that she wants, basically she's going to get. And it includes like communications like with lawyers regarding, contracts or like communications with other like publicists, whatever, is everything. And so because of that, like it kind of makes this entire subpoena moot. It makes it duplicative. Like it makes it, she can get all this information now from the actual parties. He's a non-party. This whole thing, I don't care what law you want to apply to it. It's ridiculous at this point. And the fact that and we have it on camera. Do you think this will let me play it?
Yeah, it should let you play.
Does it
also potentially the corruption of the courts? They started issuing all these subpoenas because Blake Lively's entire story, don't forget, is that there was some inside untraceable campaign and that it couldn't be possible that people organically disliked her, right? So no, but they must have been working with all of these people. And she starts throwing out these subpoenas. I got a subpoena. I didn't even know Justin Baldoni's name last year. I got a subpoena. How am I a part of this untraceable campaign? And of course, they wanted to see whether or not we had communications this year. 2025. Why? Why is the judge allowing them to go on this fishing expedition to pretend that anything that happened this year is relevant to the case that she filed last year? Apparently, she's trying to prove it's still going on or something, and the judge is allowing this BS. Why would the judge allow this? This is an absolute nonsense. So we went to them and said, Candace has never been told what to publish. That was a part of their subpoena, wanting to figure out whether people were sending us talking points, whether or not people had paid us, whether or not people were encouraging, asking us to say certain things throughout an episode. It's a nonsense. In fact, I should sue them for defamation for even suggesting that I would let somebody put words in my mouth. It's bad for my brand. You hurt me now. That feels like an untraceable campaign. Blake Lively, okay? Cut that out right now. And he said, obviously, that's not true. Do you even know who Candace is? And we absolutely are not giving you our communications. We will file to completely quash this subpoena, and we will win because we will cite reporter's privilege. You know that. And they asked us not to file the quash until they could see they filed some motion, whether or not they could win on forcing the defendants of this case, Brian Freeman and Justin Baldoni, to have to give their communications so that it won't actually involve me at all, meaning we can get them, they will be subpoenaed and they will have to turn over their communications rather than including you. Yeah, that would kind of be the big idea. It's between all of you guys. And again, it seems very strange to me that they're trying to pivot a strategy here and they're no longer concerned with what was leading up to this lawsuit, but they're trying to prove that this campaign is happening now. All I can say to you is, legitimately, from the bottom of my heart, I hate people who lie. I cannot stand the idea of people being so wealthy and so connected that they can ruin people's lives. This is also my emotional attachment to this Brigitte story now, right? You're trying to ruin people's lives for telling the truth.
I mean,
maybe because Candace had a lawyer, because I'm thinking okay, if they offered her and told her, hey, don't file a motion to quash until we can figure out if we can get the discovery from the Wayfarer parties, right? Then why wouldn't they offer the same thing to Perez?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I feel like that's a good argument. I don't know if that's a good legal argument or if that's just a waste of time to argue that in court. But to me, that's why I was like, let's add it to the slide, because I felt like, that might be compelling.
Yeah, because the fact that they told her lawyers that they were going to wait to see if they could get the same discovery from Wayfarer. And then they did get that ruling on Monday. So now that should apply to Perez too, I would think. And I mean, the only difference maybe is that, Perez did file that protective order on the New York docket and then wanted sanctions. And that's why she did and then the cross compel and whatever. But it doesn't matter because at the end of it's like they admitted that they should get this from Wayfarer first. And so now they can. And so I think that that's really important. And I mean, that's a mic drop. I feel like we could almost end on that note. But because I mean, we could go into what like I would respond because there's like a 3-prong test for the federal like application of the law. And so I wrote some responses to those, but like, again, we're not lawyers. Like we're not giving legal advice. This is just how we interpreted everything. And so, and at the end of the day, like once CJ and I kind of like put together her notes with these notes, that's where we kind of saw the bigger picture. And that's why I was just like, I feel like for me, I mean, sorry that we got all crazy. That's why I felt like this was like the most organized way to do it. But we can quickly look at the federal things really quick. So for the federal qualified reporter's privilege, which is like common law First Amendment, you basically have to like to overcome the privilege, the party issuing the subpoena must show that like the relevance, like the information sought is highly relevant to a significant issue of the case. It's not just like nice to have or to use as like an intimidation tactic or a fishing expedition. And so my response to that would be, well, the case is about SH and a retaliatory smear campaign due to the SH, and Perez was reporting in Blake's favor after the New York Times article hit piece about her SH. So I don't think anything it says is like helpful to what she's saying about a retaliatory smear campaign. Also goes back to the other exhibits we showed where Tag didn't know, like, or they didn't even know how to reach out to him, or before that they like didn't even think he was relevant. So that's what I said back here. Okay. Yeah, and the second
okay,
go ahead. No, sorry.
You're still going through the list. Go ahead.
No, and just like, and that second thing is like that it's necessity, compelling interest, that the information is necessary, critical to the claim, and that without it, the party cannot fairly proceed. And I said false, like Lively withdrew all the other content creator subpoenas who filed a motion to quash. She never responded apparently to Megyn Kelly's. It just shows that they're not serious. And I said 107 content creators have been subpoenaed, including a YouTuber account with 1 subscriber. So this is clearly, to me, this is clearly a fishing expedition. If this was so important, like this information from these other people, and then he tells like Candace Owens to wait and see if they can get it from Wayfarer, I just don't see how it holds up. And then the last one is that exhaustion, okay, that you can't get it from any other sources. And we already know that like I don't know why this pops up like that. The motion to compel was granted and gave Lively access to all of Wayfair party's communications with alleged agents through February 2025. She can get it from them. And I think and I feel like Perez did pretty much like cover that. He's like, he seemed to understand what was up. But that's how like everything got out of control, because then we went back again. I think it just all goes back to the judge held his hand, in my opinion, and told him, this is what he wants. He's like, Lively's going to try to say you're not protected by Nevada Shield law, which like Perez, I spent hours researching Nevada Shield law and I had so many cool slides on that. But like at the end of the day, it's not really relevant, even though the jurisdiction is in Nevada. That's where the case is being held because it's within 100 miles of, his home. But the law they're going to say is that this is going to be federal. It's a federal case, and that the Shield law is, what's the word? Or that federal law takes precedent.
That it gives way to the Nevada Shield law. The federal law does. So that seems to be what he wants to hear from both sides, because it seems like he wants to read these briefs before he gets into the court. So he can weigh these different opinions and stuff. But from what I've researched and looked, and I know, so he's covered by the Nevada Shield law, which, like you said, might be moot because of the federal stuff. But even in the federal stuff that I researched, as far as like the journalistic part and all that, I feel like the law is still on his side. If he's able to articulate it as well as he was articulating the Nevada Shield Law stuff, I feel like he has a go. But I don't know what Merrill's people are gonna, try and bring up, or Blake Lively's people, like with Merrill. So that's the interesting part, because he won't know what that brief or argument will be until 9 a.m. And then he has like 10, 11, 12, 1, like 3 hours to, be able to research that. And I know, he's got chat and stuff, but to be able to argue that as well. So that's the
Yeah, as
only
soon as it drops, we at least will be able to like read it real quick and like send you whatever we think. But he'll get a copy of it. They also have to serve him. But yeah, he's not going to really see it until he goes in the courtroom. And at the end of the day, I don't even think that the arguments are really going to matter. I mean, do you think we should? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth going into that 2014 thing, because I think the whole point of that, because they were trying to say that there was,
it didn't have legs, right? You're like, there's no way they can go back in time. But we were trying to read. It's basically this before the if you could just pull up that one little slide as we finish up though. Before in 2014. They were arguing that content, like digital creators, were not part of it. Were not part of this Shield law or whatever. But then by 2019, they were saying that, that was the final decision. Around that time, some Nevada courts wrestled with how far journalists extended. There was confusion because the statute, NRS 49.275, didn't originally spell out non-traditional media. And what it actually says now, it covers any person connected with or employed by newspaper, periodical, press association, or other medium of communication to the public. The other medium of communication was always the catch-all, and courts have now recognized that includes online journalism and blogging. The Ninth Circuit Court in Schoen versus Schoen, binding precedents in Nevada federal court, already said non-traditional journalists are covered if they gather information for public dissemination. And then in Obsidian Finance Group, that same year, Lively's team that is pointing to 2014, the court held bloggers also enjoyed those First Amendment protections. So we were trying to see if there was anything in that 2014 that they might be trying to say, like, applies to the federal statute.
So it was so confusing. And like, I mean, I put like my little argument to, because then I was like, it got like, it messed up our whole thing, because we're like, we don't even need to know about
the Nevada Shield Law once that brief came about.
Yeah, but I was just like, my example, because she was trying to say like in the 2014 advisory committee discussion proves nothing in my opinion, because they almost like Nevada like Supreme Court, they already overrode that, and they said that like digital journalists and bloggers and whatnot are protected under the law. So it doesn't alter the controlling federal law, and the Ninth Circuit has held up that both traditional and digital journalists are entitled to qualified privilege. And whatever uncertainty existed in 2014 has long since been resolved in favor of protecting digital journalists, and that respondents' attempt to use non-binding state legislative history as a reason to narrow federal privilege is misplaced and should be rejected. I don't know. That was just like, we couldn't really figure it out, because at the end of the day, we think that we spent all this time on
the something that we missed that because all it said was, and let me just grab my notes real quick because I have them right here.
Because this is at the end, based on the briefing, it seems like this is what the judge is telling him to focus on. And that's why we made the chart with after everything, was because it says for all the subpoena requests, whether and how privileges under the federal common law, including but not limited to qualified reporter privilege, applies to this information. We went through it. We went through that 3-pronged check, and I think that it makes this whole subpoena moot. But the judge still has asked Perez, give a list of the type, the format, and the volume of this information. And then, like CJ said, from the notes in court, how quick can you produce a list of the materials for each of these and the expenses and costs? So to me, I'm just because like this is how my brain thinks, this is how I would do it. But I'm not saying this is how to do it. But this is, to me, how I would do it to make sure I covered everything.
And then the exact wording was, she's like, maybe it might be beneficial for us to file a supplemental briefing that we uncovered a 2014 decision by the committee of the Nevada legislature to consider removing affiliation removing affiliation of what is what I'm thinking, like affiliation of whether he's digital content creator, or because that's the only thing that we found under that 2014 decision was that there was, you know, questions on whether, like, how it applied or whatever. So don't know what she has up her sleeve with that, but you know, sometimes they have these things up their sleeves that's like a nothing burger. So
This is really funny.
now,
Blake. Oh, it's just a Blake. Why did you hire a lawyer who's prettier than you?
Meryl said, I don't like her after CJ's reporting on Thursday trying to butter up the judge. As a fellow Nevadan, no, she didn't say as a fellow Nevadan, like that she was saying, like, she said, as a proud Nevadan, I know that you would want to, like, basically, like, she was saying, like, I know you're a proud Nevadan and would want to, she was trying to insinuate that, like, he was going to base his decision as a proud Nevadan, or like maybe talking about the Nevada shield law. Let me look what they were
No,
talking
but
about
that's
when
what
she
it
said
sounds like. And like Ricardo said,
that.
if federal is higher than local law, then Perez should maybe have a look at the federal level. And like, so that's what we think is that the judge basically, in our opinion, and especially with the order where he is telling Perez to, you know, exactly to do this, for the materials requested, to address it. I think that that's exactly what he's saying is Lively's like strongest argument, which is kind of crazy because if you guys think about it, Lively can just like choose when she wants state jurisdiction and when, you know, state laws to apply and when she wants federal laws to apply. Like, remember, she's having the New York federal court use state laws for her, you know, to address like the CRD. And
they did argue that in court. They did argue that in court. She kept saying that Judge Liman had already said that federal law took precedence over state law. And she quoted whatever Judge Liman had said. But for that part that he was saying about the proud Nevadan, the judge is basically saying, typically we won't transfer to a jurisdiction to decide a new area of law, to issue something about Nevada law in New York, basically telling her, you know, why would we transfer it to New York and have them, you know, give an opinion on the Nevada law?
Nevada law,
and he's like,
yeah.
He's like, that weighs heavily against transfer. He's like, how, you know, and then again, he asked her, you know, why shouldn't I transfer it or whatever? And then she goes, as a proud Nevadan, I anticipated that you would, or like she was getting into like that. And then he cut her off and was like, no, not just as a Nevadan. It's not based on that. It's in the writings and opinions. And then she goes, oh, I'm absolutely sorry. I didn't mean to take away from that.
Yeah, I mean, she was trying these tricks, and I'm telling you, because this was like a subpoena case, a hearing, you know, just for the subpoena. And like we've seen with all the other subpoena ones so far, at least, it's been magistrate judges that probably like do let her talk like this to them or something, because this judge was just not having it. And this is really funny. I'll go back to what Vegan and Big said, but I'm Not a Bot said, no, CJ needs to replay the bombastic side eye the judge gave Meryl, because like
it wasn't like side eye, it was like direct stare. It was like a direct stare at her. He just like stood there staring, and I was like, dang, he's just staring at her. Like, it was almost like awkward. To me, it felt like a long time, but it might have just been like 30 seconds. But then he just stared at her, and then he was like, thank you for your time, whatever. But yeah.
And then, yeah, what Vegan and Big said, but the federal law still needs to look at state. And that is true, because it has to weigh it and it has to balance it out with the federal law, with the current, like with the state law and the jurisdiction for this. And I think, you know, I mean, because the Nevada laws, like their shield law is not penetrable. Like it is one, it's absolute. It's one of the strongest ones again in the nation. And this chat knows that we've gone over it before. And it was funny because before this order came out about the federal part, I did a whole thing, and that's why, sorry, the slides were out of order, was because I was just going to dig into it, because I was like, you know, he's got this, and here's all the examples, and then I was going to take you guys into I uploaded the clips, but I hadn't made them public yet from the Telus trial I made, which is on my TikTok. So we were going to go into that, but like now what happened today changed everything, and like I can't thank CJ enough again for like going through her notes and going back, and then that's how we like got to the bottom of what we think is being asked, and that what he has to come up with before Tuesday. And I still think he's going to win no matter what, because what they're asking for is ridiculous. And I just don't think this judge is going to give in. What do you think, CJ?
I honestly, I feel like this is Jerry, like Jerry Springer's was Jerry's final thought. That's how I felt right now. Like, what do you think? My final thought on it is, I love how Perez says cautiously optimistic, right? Because the law seems like he's on his side. The judge seems like he's willing to hear Perez. He's not treating him differently because he's pro se or doesn't have a lawyer. He was being very, very nice to him and listening to him and stuff like that. And so for me, the way that I saw his interactions towards Perez and the way that I saw, and he wasn't being like mean per se to Meryl, but he was like more short with her a little bit. And then towards the end, they kind of had a laugh about something. I forget what it was, but they kind of like chuckled about something towards the end when they were talking about dates and times and stuff.
Well, that was a good thing. That was so funny too, because he's like, I have Tuesday and Wednesday open. And she's like, well, with the Labor Day weekend, Wednesday would be better. He's like, Tuesday, 1:30.
Yeah. And so the way that I saw it, so obviously, like, how some people are like, oh, he's leaning one way or the other. I feel like it could go either way. Like he wasn't as nice to Meryl as he was to Perez, in my opinion, but he was still fairly okay with Meryl. He was a little bit annoyed, after that Nevada comment. And then just in general, he couldn't fathom even why it was New York jurisdiction or whatever. So I'm confident that maybe this judge is like weighing all options, because all the arguments that the judge gave were really, really, really good. He's like, why would this happen? Why explain this to me and all this other stuff? So all his thought process was kind of like the process that we go through, that we think those same things. So in that case, I feel like he's on, leaning more Perez's side. The only thing that I would say is he may do like a partial, depending on what Perez brings in for this in-camera parte review of what is privileged, because Perez is saying that, his information is privileged, basically saying that there might be information. So the judge might want to see it. So depending on what's there, it can go, either way. Maybe he says, yes, provide these documents, but not these. These are privileged, but these aren't. And he'll make a decision there. So it might be like a partial thing where he gives them access to some documents, but not all, because he did say at the end, like, be prepared to provide these documents. And he was like, and be prepared to
documents or the lists.
I think he said, let me look at it again. I think he said lists. The list.
While you look for it real quick, we have another question. Why, this from Quarter Fate, why was the New York Times case thrown out? Because of freedom of press or because it was privileged under California law with the CRD? Yeah, I think it was a little both, remember? Because that was everything she said in the CRD was protected. And according to Megan Twohey, which in my opinion is full of it, but according to her, she used only the information from the CRD or whatever to write her stupid hit piece. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, but it seemed like he was, I think it just said how to produce the list of documents. But for some reason, I feel like, because I remember a part where he was like, and like, be prepared to comply, because remember when Perez was asked about Judge Liman and he was like, I would not comply, like I would be held in contempt.
Yeah, that's good. That was good that he did that.
The judge wanted to verify, like, you would comply here, and he was like, absolutely, I would comply with the judge's orders here or whatever. So I don't know if that meant that, he was going to be producing things, or if, because now I'm thinking, like, did I mishear? And I'm thinking about what MSM was saying about how, providing the documents, because I remember during that interview where they're like, he's saying that you have to produce documents, but I think he said the burden of the cost of producing documents. That's where I have the word documents, is whether it's Lyman or I, we will ask the burden of the cost of producing documents. So I don't think he said actually produce the documents.
Yeah, I think, no, it was just like the burden. Because remember the chart that we showed, it said that. So that's why I put all the different.
But then when he said that he wants that ex parte in-camera review of documents, I'm like, okay, well, that means he wants him to be bringing.
Was it of the actual documents?
Well, what did the motion hearing say? Let me look it up real quick. Let me see.
Can I add another thing to the stage?
Yeah. You can just go add and then click the
image
tab.
file. Okay, because I put a screenshot of it if you want to see the exact thing.
We're doing
Okay,
the
so
Russian goodbye, y'all. We're leaving and we ain't leaving, but we are leaving.
yeah, sorry. We're just gonna add this one thing.
So it says, further order that movement should come prepared with a list of materials covered by the subpoena that can be presented to the court for ex parte. So it's just the list. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
This
and
list will describe the type, the format, and the volume. Okay, so yeah, so it's not documents. So yeah, you're right. So maybe when he sees the list, the type, and the format, and the volume, I'm saying worst case scenario, he might, go half on a baby or something, but I don't think he's gonna ask him to provide everything. I think best case scenario, he throws it all the way out and is like, this is no, like, the precedents that this would set, because Perez also said that he would appeal a decision like that. I think he did say that.
this is why I would do a list. This is what I'm saying. Now, does it make like more sense?
Yeah. Now it makes a lot more sense. It's easier to see it visually this way.
Yeah, and I think then he could just go through each one, and some of them are so ridiculous where it's like about him having communications or being paid or getting talking points and all that stuff. Like it's like a nothing, like, the only thing is like when they're asking for like his like sources and his like whatever his business plan for his
like how he creates his content and stuff. Like, I don't know, what would that be, like his videos or something? I don't know what that would be, how he creates his content.
Yeah, and I think I think the judge just wants to get an overview by requesting the list. I think he just wants to get an overview as well. And I think, again, the important thing is he wants to know like the type, the format, the volume, how quick it can be provided, and like the expenses and cost to you to produce this. Because, and then, Perez already filed a supplement exhibit that of the motion to compel on the Wayfarer parties. That makes this whole thing like moot anyways, because they could just get everything from those parties. But I think just to put it in front of him, and then again, this is the key. Sorry, my thing's not working. This is the key part right here, I think, is just to whether and how privileges under the federal common law, including but not limited to the qualified reporter privilege, applies to this information. I think he mentioned it, he made it very clear to Perez, and he was holding his hand, and that's what happens with pro se litigants. And that's just what I think he's like, do this, and so we can be done with this crap. That's in my opinion. But I don't know. This is just our opinions.
Yep, this was just us, like getting CJ giving me her Roman Empire, and then us, because she had all the slides and all the notes, and she was thinking about it, and then I started thinking about it today, where I was like, okay, wow, this is a lot, because I had to catch up on the one, even on the motion to compel, because that was while I was at court. DFJ was like, did I say CJ? I called you CJ. DFJ was saying, you were at court when that motion to compel went through. So it was my first time reading it today, that the Wayfarer parties were compelled. And so I was like catching up too. So these slides helped me catch up on a lot of the Perez saga. So thank you. I appreciate DFJ for, working so hard on them. And I hope that they were beneficial for y'all as well.
Yeah, this was to add to what you were saying. She says the burden of the cost means that providing your source and what it would cost you in terms of your ability to keep working. And like CJ said the same thing. She's like, says that like doing all of this like takes away from like his time with his kids. He has to get like a babysitter. He can't do his post, and then not a bot like followed up. Like seriously, you guys are like the smartest chat. That's why I was like, this is not like information probably anyone else cares about. Like it's not anything juicy or anything, but it was like, if you want to get into the technicalities of like what's going to happen Tuesday, like, I mean, CJ, we were talking about this for like over an hour, like just trying to get to the bottom of it. Like
we were going to stream at 3, and then we're like, okay, we spent until 4, and then we ended up being like, okay, now we need a break, and to reset, and then we'll go on at 5. But yeah, we thought
every content creator who was subpoenaed lost the ability to make content while preparing the motion to quash. Exactly. So I think all of it is a burden to him, even just being in court on Tuesday right after like the holiday weekend, and on the Thursday right before the big holiday weekend is all a burden. CJ, what are you wearing to court?
I don't know if I'll just rewear the same thing. I didn't like really bring a second outfit. We'll see, I guess. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and then sorry, are we leaving now? Should I not put any more comments?
You can.
And then,
can-
oh yeah, his sources will no longer work with him if he reveals them. Yeah, and he's not going to reveal them. And again, I think like Perez had my final thoughts. I think that Perez had like a bunch of I think he had like a renewed sense of like energy after like he got the win. And then, then he felt like a little defeated again. You could see when this happened where he had to like make this follow-up brief, whatever. But I still think that it's manageable. Like when you still look at it, and CJ said it, like her gut instinct is like the judge was trying to help him. The judge was like, seemed like he was on his side. The judge was not having it with fancy pants lawyers. And Megyn Kelly, if I was Perez, I would also bring Megyn Kelly's video and play it, because I'm just like, she roasts this for what it is. And or just print a transcript of what she said and add it, because and what Candace said, how her lawyers and Lively's lawyers told her lawyers, like, oh, well, we could probably just get this. Like, don't file anything. We could just get this from the Wayfarer parties if we get the motion to compel. So I don't know. I just think that I don't know. I think that everything's in his favor. And earlier he had said he felt like he was ready to tap out. And I was like, no, you cannot tap out yet. Like, you're in the main event. This is the big thing on Tuesday. Just, you've got it. Like, put everything into it. You're going to have CJ there. You're going to have Ari there. That Katrine there, who we love. All of us are going to be watching. Well, we can't watch the trial, but we're going to be here to support, like, before and after. We're going to be watching CJ stream. And I want him to win.
Yeah, I hope for a win as well. And thank you all, chat, for being so supportive of it. I am a little, I can't imagine how burnt out Perez is. I am burnt out, from the traveling. It's different than being a keyboard reporter where you're just, kind of, and now that I'm showing my face and stuff, I can't just like roll out of bed and stuff. It's very different. It's a lot more work, and a lot more exhausting to absorb it in person, like, even when I was in the courtroom, like all the energies and stuff, and you feel like, God, Meryl, so I'm going to take tonight and Sunday and Monday to just relax, kind of enjoy my time here before Tuesday, kind of get, re-energized.
Oh, even Lara's burnt out. Our amazing mod, and no kidding, because like today she's like, "Are you guys going on? Like, what is happening?"
So I encourage y'all to like drink water, go out in nature, take a little break. Tuesday we're gonna need all hands on deck.
But I can't give out enough like praise to like Lara and to Kristyna. Oh my God. I think she said it was her daughter's birthday also, and has been so tiring lately. I mean, it really has been. I mean, when the Liman's order came out, that was after the hearing, and that was out of nowhere. And there was like, oh my God, all this content again. And like Kristyna and Lara like are the best. I can't say enough praise to them and thanks to them. And like Lara, on my first live stream this week, I was and everyone in the chat too, like Kenny, Khaleesi, Joy, everyone was so nice to me, because I was like so worried and scared. And Lara's like, don't be scared. Like, it's okay to mess up. It's fine. And Kenny's like, we'll be your guinea pigs. And it worked out. So everyone's just been so nice. And I know it's been so exhausting. And I hope everyone can like relax and rest. Like CJ said, have water, go outside, be with your loved ones, be with your pets. And
it's Labor Day weekend. So at least enjoy Sunday, Monday if you can.
And then Tuesday, be prepared for a crazy, I was going to say a bad word, but I'm not monetized. Crazy shit show.
Celebration. Be prepared for a celebration. I think let's be like, I love Perez when he says cautiously optimistic. Let's be cautiously optimistic and, hope for a celebration. Again, if you're there, go out and support if you can. And if you can't, go support Perez on his channel, watch his videos, stream the video. It doesn't take a lot to just stream the video. For those who are just staying at home, that's how you can support Perez if you want to be part of the, his support system. So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, DSJ.
Thank you all. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Good night, guys.
Good night.